How's it going, everybody? Nick Daniels here. We're sitting in the rain yet again, back-to-back rants. This time we're going to be talking about what it really means to enjoy a video game. What really makes a video game great, those kind of things. Sit back, relax, grab something to eat, and take it easy. So my biggest thing when you're playing a video game is really the enjoyment. You know, the enjoyment is obviously the biggest of all. The fact of progression, rewards, that kind of thing is what keeps a player going, right? The fact that there's progression will keep you wanting to play. If you can play a game and it's over and like there's not really much progression, like that's kind of it. A good example I always compare is the Elder Scrolls series. You have like, and also the Fallout series, because even though you can beat every doable mission in the game, there is still plenty to do, right? There's still progression, there's still whatever, like more locations to discover, more dungeons to loot. And you know, that's the cool thing. Like, I play Skyrim. I will say, I will admit I do play video games still, but I only play Skyrim and Fallout. So any Fallout game, and I basically play Skyrim and Oblivion, and those are the only games that I've been touching, the only games I play anything. And I'll tell you, it's fun because you can literally sit back and play these games and have no care in the world, right? Like, it's one of those games for me, for Skyrim, that you can pick up and play for an hour, you can save it up and go and come back, and you're literally in the same spot you were a minute ago, like 20 hours ago, and it's great. And you know, those games there will forever be a treasure to me. I enjoy those games fully. The funny thing, like I said though, about games nowadays is a lot of them obviously focus on the multiplayer aspect, the competitive aspect. The progression is normally hidden behind some type of paywall, as in a loot box, which is my biggest pet peeve. You'll hear me compare Halo 5 a lot in a lot of my videos that I shit talk on games, because I think Halo 5 really destroyed some of the things that really made the franchise what it was. Halo 5, for example, did the loot box, like, so you could pick up the armor pieces, which was complete bogus. Let's call it like it is. Let's call a spade a spade. They had no couch co-op. Couch co-op literally was one of the fundamentals. When you go watch a video of Bungie talking about how they made Halo, how we created Halo, and their like ideal game was, they said that a bunch of people could sit back on a couch and have a great time for a couple hours playing, right, and like blowing each other up and stuff. And that was the fundamental fun of multiplayer. Wasn't necessarily go online, you know, 300,000 people watching you, you know, esports, whatever. It's at the end of the, I don't know if it's 300,000 by the way, but it was back then, it was like 4 people, and it was like just a fucking riot. Like, everyone enjoyed it, and you had a lot of fun. And you know, I remember doing that as well, and I'm telling you that those days are over, right? And it's so unfortunate, because it used to be a really good time. And the biggest thing about it, like, they've lost. Sorry, I'd be like, they've lost what made them good. You know, again, most of the games nowadays just focus on season pass, multiplayer. Look at Black Ops 4, no campaign, right? Like, that to me should even just drop the price, right? They would drop the price of the game. They're not releasing, you know, the campaign. The first Titanfall, what do they have, like a couple fucking training sessions? The first Star Wars Battlefront there that they made from EA, same idea. Like, they didn't have a story or nothing. And I will be honest, I did enjoy that Star Wars for its multiplayer. It was really fun. And like, the graphics were great. I was a fucking beast. I was just taking people out. Not so much on the second one. I haven't figured out why that is yet. I don't know, maybe just the guns and the balancing. But the first one, I was a fucking savage. But again, it didn't deter me from the fact that there's no single player. There's no offline play. There's no versus. Like, there's no, like, when you look at Star Wars Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2, okay, for the original Xbox, Star Wars Battlefront 2 had modes that this Star Wars Battlefront 2 does not have. Okay? And that was upon launch. That was like, here you go. It's not DLC. It's none of that shit. It's like, here's the game. And like, you had the heroes versus villains mode in that game, right? I think they had it. They named it obviously something different, but it was like an all-out brawl and it was fun. It was a lot, and there was a lot of characters that you could pick. And when you come into the first Star Wars Battlefront, I think it was 3 on each side. It was Leia, Luke, Han, Darth Vader, Sidious, and I think it was Boba Fett. And that was it. That's all you got. And then, of course, they DLC'd out a few more. But I don't even think they compared to how many that this series had. They also had the Clone Wars. They also had instant action, so you could just play offline. You could play multiplayer. You know, you had... And every map, which I'm pretty sure there was also more maps, had more to it. And you could play more modes on those maps. Like, you could play, like, the Gungans versus the droids. Which again was only just I think it was just the battle droids, and that was a cool one. You could play the Tuskens versus the Jawas. So like there was again, like every mode had its own little interesting battle you could do. And I don't remember the name of that. There was the Galactic Conquest, where you like actually had to command your ships to go in, and you had pick like perks, like you could say I get a hero or I upgrade to a new unit or whatever, and that was fun too. I will say I do like dog fights in the sky. I think that's really cool. And just the dog fighting, that's one thing that Battlefront at least did. But again, you had space combat, which again the Battlefront didn't. And you could fly into a ship, land, and blow it up from the inside, or you could dogfight in space and blow it up from the outside. And again, that doesn't exist. I mean, obviously in DLC, then they did release the fact that you could go in and blow up a Death Star from the outside. But yeah, no, like it's mind-blowing to me that a game of that, like 10 years difference probably, and it trumped the new game by a long shot. And a lot of people will compare both of those to that game and say like, wow, like what happened? And the new games have done a lot of stuff that's great, but I wish they would have applied what they've done that's great and applied it to the older stuff and really made a masterpiece. That could have happened. But yeah, like I said, like overall, a lot of these new games have just focused on the paywalls, and the money is the biggest thing, is the money. The money always is what lures them in. And it should be about the player experience. When you take an action away from a player, you've now taken away the player experience. You've ruined the player experience for that scene. That's actually a quote from one of the Bungie members. A good example, again, is Halo 5, where they've marketed the campaign to be completely wrong. They've marketed the campaign in Star Wars Battlefront 2 to be completely wrong. They marketed it as an Empire completely game. Like you were Empire. It actually looked pretty badass, because you're Empire. Like you were the villains. That's pretty cool. Anyway, she defects later on, and then, like, partway through the game, and then she's all of a sudden just like this esteemed rebel that they love. Just saying. Halo 5, not to mention the campaign in that game is crap. But Halo 5 is just along the same example. And like I said, you'll hear me like go to Halo 5 quite often. The way they marketed Halo 5 again is that they said that the Master Chief was the villain. The character you've played from every game is now the villain, and Locke is gonna like take him in and, you know, make him pay. And they have a fight in a cutscene. Honestly, that looks really bad. I'm not feeling the cutscene at all. Like the fight scene, I feel like the Master Chief would have been a lot better. You could argue that he was old. No. He's the best Spartan out there, and it looked like basically he was getting his butt kicked. Okay, I'm not feeling that. Like, I feel like that would have been way faster, way more aggressive, way more power, and it would have been a lot more close. I mean, obviously Locke would have still competed quite well. Anyway, just saying, that's what I'm saying. There's a cutscene, and that's funny. You know what I'm saying? I've just said 2 minutes. Know what I'm saying. But there's a cutscene, they fight, and you don't do anything in that. And then all of a sudden at the end they're working together. And again, like, tragic, dude, that they fudge that up. In my opinion, that was fucked up. There isn't an alibi to that. That was not good. But anyway, that's all I've got there, folks. We're running out of time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you folks think of the video, of the rant. Comment down below. I don't know, first comment gets a bag of Doritos. Oh, cheers. Alright, thanks for watching. Cheers.